There we go.
We are live. How about you, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Live call-in show. I'm your host, Jeffrey Lee, Senior Recruiting Editor for Auburn Live on a 3. Today is Sunday, April the 6th, 2025. We are almost exactly 24 hours removed from Auburn's the ending of Auburn's historic basketball season. Auburn lost in the Final Four, 79-73 to the Florida Gators. The mighty Gators, for the second time this season. We won't talk about that. Auburn also had Big Cat Weekend. I put that in air quotes because I mean it was a recruiting day with a Big Cat stamp on it. We'll talk about recruiting. Auburn had another scrimmage. We can talk about football. Auburn did win 2 of 3 against Alabama in baseball. So
Yes.
A lot going on this weekend. We'll love to talk to you about anything you want to talk about. Joining me as always when they're here 100% of the time, they're actually here. Mr. Cole Pinkston with an on-air behind him. Look at that. And Mr. Allen Head, how about you, big dog? Cole coming up.
That's right. That's right.
Man, that's fancy, big dog.
It is, isn't it?
Isn't
Do
it?
you see how he moved his camera over like this?
I gotta get it in there, Gotta get it in there. Let me scoot my
I
chair
did the
over.
same with my biggest buck. I'm like, yeah, can y'all see that one?
For sure, dude. For sure.
Fantastic. Y'all give us a call tonight, 701-779-9585. We got a lot to talk about. We want to hone in on what it is that you want to talk about. Plenty of subjects going around. We'll get to the phone line as soon as possible. Before we do, want to say if you're in Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, looking for some real estate help, looking for to sell your house, looking to buy a house, maybe upgrade, maybe even buy an investment property, give her a call. Miss Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group, 334-704-4442. A lot of 4s in that number, but she's a freaking 5-star realtor. If you don't believe me, just ask her. Ask your clients, big dog. 5-star realtor, big dog. Consensus 5-star realtor. Despite the bad weather today in Auburn, it was downpouring for most, if not all of the day. She was out showing houses. Her clients were limited to Sunday, and she made it work. She took them out and showed them what they wanted to see. So give her a call, man, 334-704-4442. Tell her we sent you. All right, fellas, before we get to the phone, we'll talk about the biggest topic here was Auburn's 6-point loss to Florida in the Final Four in San Antonio Saturday afternoon. Alan, you're our resident basketball guru, czar, expert, insider. What we're I know you and Justin are going to talk about it if you haven't already. But quick, what do you take away from that game?
Sure. Well, let's start first with, you're right, Jeffrey. This is a historic season in Auburn basketball. Final Four appearance, SEC championship, 32 wins, most ever for Auburn. And I think people kind of get lost in the emotion of what was a very disappointing loss for a lot of people. None more so than Bruce Pearl and the kids on that team. So just remember that, guys. I know there's a lot of emotional investment with that. But at the end of the day, these are the kids that are actually out there on the floor. This is the staff that's put in the work each and every day, and nobody wanted it more than them. But in that game, I thought that they got out to a fantastic start. They were able to really kind of manipulate some things and get Janai, get him kind of in a position where he was able to take advantage of a lot of different mismatches and got him isolated on the block. And the guards played well in the first half. I think they had 2 turnovers the entire half. One of those was not on them. It was on one of the bigs. Second half, just the complete opposite, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a really tough night for Denver and Tahad in the second half. Miles really couldn't ever get it going. He hit a couple of big threes in the first half, and in the second half, they just couldn't make buckets. And there was some inefficient play on the offensive end. Janai eventually wore down. And I think probably having a shortened bench this year hurt them with the style of play that Bruce likes to employ. It was much shorter than usual. You had 2 guys that you picked up in the transfer portal. I'm not going to get into names and whatnot. You probably know who I'm talking about. That just didn't really contribute in the way that I think Auburn envisioned when they signed those players. And so it made you rely on a rotation of about 7 to 8 guys, depending on the night. And eventually this got worn down by a very deep and talented Florida team. And I think I posted that on the board. Sometimes you got to tip your hat to the other team.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, that for me, Alan, I turned that game off last night and I'm going, you know what? That was almost the best that could have happened for Auburn in that You lost to Florida's a better team than you are.
Yeah.
You lost to a better team. There were no, Auburn was full healthy. You didn't have to wonder, our best player was out or that call went against us there at the end. It was a double dribble. None of that happened. You got beat by the better team who had the best player. Michael, also known as Walter Clayton. I'm serious. The 2 times that Auburn has played them, he has done whatever he wanted to do. Made shot. He reminded me of Trae Young / Steph Curry last night.
Yeah, he was unreal.
He's the MVP of the tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, even if Florida didn't win, and I think they could, he's still nobody plays as well as that guy.
But you at least that was for me. I walked away from that going, Auburn's not as good as Florida. They're not the best team in the country. They weren't last night. They're not as good as Florida. They've lost, I think now they lost by 9 points at home to Florida and 6 points on the road. They got outscored 14 points in the second half. Florida made adjustments at halftime that Auburn just could not deal with. Auburn was up by 8, and you get outscored 14 in the second half and lose by 6. So I thought at least you walk away from that going, we got beat by the better team tonight who had the better player.
Correct.
And if you're going to lose and go out, that's the way you do it.
Sometimes
I agree.
You just meet your match. Sometimes it's part of the sport. We've said it all year. Florida was, gosh, they're complete.
Yeah.
So was Duke for that matter. I mean, they got beat, but it's hard to beat Florida. And you got 2 shots at them, couldn't get it done, and that's how it goes sometimes.
And I do want to recognize Chad Baker-Mazara. Now, he had some erratic play on defense there in the second half, but from an offensive standpoint, stepping up with a torn ligament in his finger or in his thumb, whatever it was, he was your high scorer for the game. And he was a guy that we had singled out as someone that you would think you would need to have stepped forward to have a chance to win that game. He came through for you. Janai Broome came through for you. It was really your other 3 guards that just didn't necessarily have the game that you needed to have.
Right.
That you needed to have to be able to win that game. And I think I talked about that as having a point guard that could control the flow of the game because you knew the ball pressure that Florida was going to put on Auburn. And in the first half, they handled it. The second half, it was just a little too much. But when you're talking about Walter Clayton Jr., he is the best player in college basketball right now.
Completely agree.
He separated himself last night, hit contested threes, was able to get into the lane when he wanted to. Just a very efficient and effective score. And finish, right?
Wow.
But what I want to remind people is that Walter Clayton Jr. is a senior. And for those that are, a little disheartened with the way Tahat played, he's a true freshman, guys. On the biggest stage in San Antonio, sometimes when they're young players, they just have to develop. And you have to be patient with that. So when you're kind of in this bubble of wanting it now, you forget that there are guys that still take time to develop. This is a developmental game. And he's going to continue to get better. I don't know how much longer he's going to be at Auburn. I do feel pretty good about the fact that I think he's going to be back next year. And what happens after that will probably depend on how well he plays next year, right? Because he does have ambitions to play on the biggest stage in the NBA. But again, don't get overly frustrated with what you saw last night with a guy that's, again, the best player in college basketball who's had the opportunity to develop over 4 years against a true freshman who had, by all means, a phenomenal first year. But again, it's his first year in college basketball, and so you have to allow some growth to be there.
Boy, Todd Golden, too. That's a complete team. And listen, if anybody was going to beat Auburn and Bruce Pearl, I want it to be Todd Golden. Todd Golden's a fantastic guy.
He is. And just one of the bright stars. I don't know. Maybe it's Kelvin Sampson's time. You're talking about another guy that's paid his dues. He's been to a lot of different Final Fours, so it'll be interesting to see how that matchup goes. But I'm with you guys. Florida is the most balanced team in the tournament. They have everything you want from backcourt to front court scoring, defense at the rim, the ability to exert ball pressure and put you in situations that are uncomfortable for your guard play. And so it's just, it's a really well put together team and not a team of stars either. Your 2 bigs, I think, in Hawk and God, what's the Australian kid's name? I'm struggling.
Hanlogden?
No. Hanlogden was he was
Condon.
Condon and Hawk were both 3-star guys.
Oh yeah.
One was a international 3-star from Australia. The other was a 3-star afterthought from the state of Pennsylvania. So Todd's got a fantastic eye for talent, and it reminds you the fact that there's still evaluations in this game that you can find players at different levels that have the ability to succeed so long as they're put in a really good situation. They're put into a scheme that works to their skill set and that they're developed properly. And I think Todd has done a phenomenal job of that at Florida for sure.
They've got a heck of a roster, man. That even Elijah Martin, that guy didn't play against Auburn the first time, right?
He did not.
I mean, that's just one more guy that's – but anyway.
Real quick before we get to the phone lines, basketball portal is going to be a big deal. Auburn, since we last spoke with you guys, since we last had the show, has signed UCF transfer Keyshawn Hall, who I think is a freaking stud.
He is.
I really like him just from what I've seen. Flory Badunga announced earlier this afternoon, that he was going to stick at Kansas, and then the UAB transfer, another guy that Auburn was pushing for, I believe, Yexel
Lindenberg.
Yeah, Yaxel Lindenberg picked Michigan.
Went to Michigan. So kind of but listen, Auburn is back home now. We're expecting to see some things start moving a little bit faster with the transfer portal. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that. Justin Hokeson's done a fantastic job. Matter of fact, speaking of Keyshawn Hall, if you haven't already, go to Auburn Live on 3 and look at the one-on-one interview Justin did with Keyshawn. Keyshawn, I believe, went out to San Antonio to watch Auburn. So it was a fantastic interview with Justin with Keyshawn Hall. Go look at that, and then get locked on to Auburn Live on 3. Justin's fantastic when it comes to basketball transfer portal.
Yeah, Hall's a big piece too, guys. I mean, he's somebody that can play 3 through 5. Probably your most versatile player since Chuma Ukeke, and the ability to do that.
God, he's good.
I think give me a comparison, Alan. You know him better than I do.
He's better off the bounce than Chuma. Do you remember Simeon Bowers, how he used to could handle it that size?
Ooh, I was a big Simeon Bowers fan.
But he's not as good in the post as Chuma. Chuma was unique at 6'6", 6'7", to be able to go down and be able to play against guys that were significantly bigger, use his body to create angles and spacing for himself. But definitely that kind of player. He's going to be a stretch forward at Auburn, in my opinion. They may slide him down to play some 3 to give him some exposure for the NBA. But overall, I think he meshes well with Tahad Pettiford, because I think this is going to be an up-tempo type team next year. And if you put him out there as a stretch forward and kind of a 5-out type offense, then you're going to have some exciting play next year for sure.
Let's see. Do we have anybody on the phone lines there, Zach? Zach in the back?
We do.
Okay. Zach's getting home, man. We're going to be patient with him, dude. You keep doing what you're doing, Zach. Throw Kevin on here, and we'll run with it.
Kevin, you're live, man.
Kevin from Wimmer, Alabama.
How about you, big dog?
Right, Kevin.
Hey, y'all, we should have won that game last night.
You know what, Alan? I was thinking there were probably 6 things that Auburn needed to do in order to beat Florida, and they did about 3 or 4 of them.
Correct.
And they just couldn't get the other 2 done. Go ahead, Kevin. I hear you, man. There were ways, but Auburn just couldn't get it done.
We need to make our free throws.
That would help.
That was a big part of it. Yeah,
that's a big deal.
Although Florida didn't shoot the lights out at the end either.
No, they did not. You're talking about 2 teams that wore on each other in that game. I mean, defense was a premium last night, and you could tell the energy they were putting on there was affecting the offense at differing times.
They still have a good season, 32-6.
Yeah, unreal.
Best season in Auburn history.
Yeah.
I mean, look, unfortunately, go ahead, Kevin.
Baker be back next year.
What did he say?
He said he hopes Chad Baker can be back. I think he will be at this point. I think it's leaning in that direction, but we'll see, right? I mean, Chad's a little unpredictable, so he could choose to decide, you know what, I'm ready to start my pro career. So,
Did we have high school players coming?
Now Jeffrey Lee is a better person to talk to you about that. I promise you there. But yes, absolutely. You've got 3 high school guys coming in.
Yeah.
All of them are really good players.
Simon Walker.
He's going to be more of a developmental piece as far as that goes.
Sebastian Williams.
Yes, he's going to be a stretch 4 for you out of the Houston area. Really good prospect. I like his length out there as a stretch 4, a guy that can also go in and bang. And then Magwood also coming in. Yeah.
They got some players.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kev. I'm sorry I cut you off there.
Did we get a offense tackle?
Offensive lineman. I
Yeah.
forgot to mention that, Kevin. Thank you, big dog. Yeah, Auburn picked up a Big Cat commitment on Saturday. Interior guy, don't you think?
I think so. I think he'll be an interior guy. One of my favorite things to ever happen is when we're interviewing a guy and he goes, "Well, actually,
Yeah. Where does Auburn stand? Well, I just committed.
well, I just committed."
But yeah, Kevin, Parker Pritchett, Dooley.
Auburn baseball team beat Alabama.
Won the series.
Sure did.
Should have swept them.
Run rolled them first game.
Should have swept them. Had them in the top of the ninth and gave up a 2-run home run. So,
yeah, a lot going on this weekend, Kevin. Hey, appreciate you calling in, big dog. I think we might have a War Eagle, buddy. I think we might have a special guest calling in with some jorts on.
ooh.
And a tank top.
Who
The
comes
question
from,
is he going to
Sunshine
flex?
State.
That's the question, right?
Looky here. Oh, look at him with the Gators in the background.
Oh,
No, I have to do that first of all, thanks for having me. That was a hell of a game last night.
It was.
It was a hell of a game. No, and I've covered both programs, and it's been the highlight of my pathetic life to cover both these programs.
I can attest to that.
Yeah, but I mean, and I didn't want to go on the Auburn board last week. I just didn't think that would be the right thing to do. And because for obviously Auburn people don't want me in their business, and Florida people don't want me on the
Hey,
Auburn.
Keith, hold on for a second.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, this is Keith Niebuhr. He covered Auburn for years and years. He actually was with us at Auburn Live on 3 before he went to cover Florida. So he's now covering the Florida Gators for Auburn. For On 3. But always will be a friend of the program here at Auburn Live.
no doubt about that.
I don't know about you guys. I'm just so proud. I don't even know if proud's the right word, but how far these two programs have come. Jeff, you and I are about the same age. We're probably older than these guys. And I went to so many. Oh, whatever. I went to so many bad Auburn, Florida games when I was a little kid. We couldn't afford football tickets in Gainesville, so I had to go to the O'Connell Center in the early 80s and watch Florida get the snot beat out of them by everybody in the SEC, including Auburn. But even Auburn had the great Elite Eight team with Barkley and those guys. I think he was on that team. Just to think that they would ever make the one Final Four, let alone two. And I'm going to tell you, I think Bruce Pearl's going to be back. I think he's going to be back at another one and maybe another one. What he's built there is so incredible. And then obviously Florida's 6 Final Fours. I mean, they didn't get to their first NCAA tournament until 1987. So it's surreal. I have friends, obviously I went to University of Florida. I have a lot of friends at Auburn. I'm just so happy for all of them that they've been able to experience this, because as great as football is in their football schools, as great as football is, man, when you get on a basketball run, you got a game like every 3-4 days, and it's so much fun, man. It's just so much fun, the highs and the lows. And that game could have gone either way last night. I just got off the phone with somebody else in the Auburn market, one of your competitors, Philip Marshall, and I said, we agreed if they play 10 times, maybe it's 5-5. And it just so happened that was Florida's night. And, I don't gloat. We cover a program. You guys cover a program. You want those programs to do well. But the further you go in these events, the hurt is that much more. So painful day for guys. Like I remember watching Dylan Cardwell play and interviewing him. So, and Chris Morris. And so, you hurt for those guys. So anyway. Yeah.
Well, Florida was just, we said earlier, Keith, I don't know if you're watching, but there were a lot of things. Florida's a better team than Auburn has been the 2 times that they've played, obviously. Yeah. But Auburn needed to do about 6 different things last night in order to beat Florida, and they couldn't just get them all done. Walter Clayton, we talked about this last week. We thought Denver Jones was going to be the most important player for Auburn tonight, in that being able to stop Walter, or at least contain him a little bit, and dude just went off. And listen, it wasn't like Alan said, it wasn't like he had open shots. He was just making shots. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about that.
And I still want to call him J-Head.
That's
I'll be in and out. Y'all.
I'll send you the bill.
You're good, Keith. Don't worry about it.
Auburn people want to talk Auburn. They don't need to hear from me. They don't want to hear me. So I'll make this quick. But you're right. Auburn there were a couple differences in the game. Clayton, obviously the biggest, and he's now set the single season record for points at the University of Florida.
Wow.
He's the first team All-American. They've never had a first team All-American before. of all the first team All-Americans, he's clearly had the best tournament, the NCAA tournament. I think that's even up for debate. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's the best guy. I think the kid at Duke is the most talented.
Sure.
And Broome, sensational year. Walter Clayton's having a season that's never been had before at the University of Florida. Not even close. There's nothing that compares. Dan Cross, maybe when they went to the Final Four in 1994. So Auburn just kind of got caught in the crosshair of a guy having just this season that nobody in Gainesville will ever forget. It just sometimes happens. It happened to Florida once. It happened to Florida with Grant Hill. It's just one of those things. And I'm not comparing Walter Clayton to Grant Hill, but it was one of those things. It was a hell of a game. It did look like Auburn wore down a little bit in the second half.
That was a big deal.
Florida's bigs were nothing offensively other than Thomas Howe. So Auburn did a good job with those guys. But defensively, they kept coming at Broome and the other inside guys in waves. So even though they weren't scoring, even though they weren't really playing, they didn't play their best game either. Neither team did. But they kept coming in waves and were able to use their fouls. Chinyelu had 9 boards for Florida, 4 fouls. He was able to use those fouls, get physical, get aggressive. And I think Florida was -1 on the boards at the half, ended up +9 in the game. So Clayton 34, Florida +9 in rebounds, and Broome not having a great second half. And, just these little things. I mean, a ball bouncing here, a ball bouncing there, and it could have been a different story. But hell of a season for Auburn. Todd Golden, I don't know him incredibly well, but I know him a little bit, and he thinks his feelings toward Bruce Pearl and Auburn mean everything to him. I mean, he wouldn't be where he was without Auburn and without Bruce. And so it's a shame they had to play each other in the semifinal, but it's kind of the way it goes sometimes. And Bruce was very complimentary toward Todd in Florida after the game. And 2 great programs. I mean, they clearly the best 2 teams in the SEC. And just I don't know what I'm just going on running on. It was a hell of a. What do you want me to tell you? It was a hell of a game. Hell of a season. Hell of a season for Auburn.
Yeah.
Yes. I said it earlier. I think if Bruce was going to lose anybody, he'd want it to be Todd. And if Todd was going to lose anybody, he'd probably want it to be Bruce.
And sometimes you got to – it's amazing. UConn's been to the Final Four 7 times and has won it 6. Okay,
Wow.
won the whole thing 6 times. Houston's there for the 7th time, same as UConn, has never won it. So every program's a little different. But if you keep knocking on the door, it'll happen. And my guess is Auburn's going to keep knocking on the door because people want to play for Bruce Pearl. I'm sure the NIL structure is going to be phenomenal, like everything else at Auburn. And he's always going to get dudes, and he's always going to get them to play really hard. You know that. So
Did you feel out of bracket?
Auburn's best days may still be ahead, guys. They may still be coming. This might not be.
They've got some dudes coming in.
Yeah. So what were you going to say, Jeff? I'm sorry.
Did you feel out of bracket?
I had Florida and Houston in the final, but stupidly, I wanted to be different. Okay, I wanted to be different. And remember, I'm still fighting this whole – people don't want me – like when I was at Auburn, I always talked about Florida because that was my point of reference. Now I'm at Florida, I'm always talking about Auburn. So I picked Iowa State like a complete jackass to go through the Auburn bracket. Yeah.
So you got Florida and Houston in your bracket.
Well, you've always picked it. I mean, didn't you guys all pick Auburn to win the whole thing?
I did.
No, I
honestly
picked Florida and Duke in the championship. Yeah,
had Duke winning it all.
What about Duke? What about that? I mean, obviously Houston grabbed it, but that was some kind of choke, wasn't it?
I was there, and I stayed for the second game. You could feel the energy in the arena shift toward like the late of that second half, and even Duke fans were like, "Oh, we're not going to get this done."
No. Unfortunately, the young kids just on that stage weren't prepared for that moment, and Houston absolutely took it from them. And you got to give Kelvin Sampson credit for making sure that he kept his kids in it. And again, Keith, you talked about it. Houston's been there 7 times. I think 3 of those are with Kelvin Sampson, and so he's a guy that's looking to stamp his name in the College Hall of Fame. And if he gets a national championship, I think he does at this time. So Florida will have their hands full, but again, Florida is the most balanced team left in the tournament. And from a scoring standpoint, from a defense standpoint, from just a combination of bigs and guards, they can pretty much do whatever they need to do within Todd's system to execute. They've got the complete package. The only thing that you have to worry about is can Walter Clayton have one more massive game? Because I think they're going to have it from him to be able to beat this team because Houston plays defense in a way that gets you uncomfortable quickly.
So what Oh, sorry, Alan. What does Cole think? Were you done, Alan? I'm so sorry.
You're good, Keith. Go ahead. It feels
What
like
does
old,
Cole-
it feels like old times.
I want to know what Cole thinks because I've been reading on the message boards. Man, they love his basketball coach.
Oh yes.
I can't thank you enough for bringing that up. Actually, no,
Hey,
it's,
Keith, there's some posters that make Cole and I both look very smart when it comes to basketball.
there's some posters that I love.
No,
I'll just leave it at that. I
I'm
love
just
them.
kidding.
Oh.
That's it. Anything else
Hey,
for me?
yeah. Has the betting line come out yet, Keith?
I think the one of them I saw was Florida 1.5, and another one I saw was Houston favored by 1.5. So I don't know. I'm not a big bettor, obviously.
I'm always curious in the line, though.
Yeah, I think people just think it's going to be a close game. Most of the picks, I did a story on media predictions, and whereas a lot of them thought Florida was going to beat Auburn, this one, it's the other way around. Most seem to think Houston.
But
It
Zach
just kinda-
said Florida minus 1.5.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Houston's got that knack, man. You know, and Florida's come from behind in 3 of these games, and maybe they're a team of destiny, but Houston's probably thinking, we beat Purdue on that last second play. We just rallied to beat Duke when everybody thought we were dead. We're a team of destiny too. So now you're getting this clash of teams of destiny. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be mostly Houston fans there. It's going to be a hell of a game, I think. But
Well, good.
anyway,
Maybe you come back and we'll talk football recruiting in a little while, Keith.
yeah, Auburn had a big weekend. I know. I was hearing about it, and
Keith, it wasn't anything like what you would picture Big
Yeah,
Cat
it's
being.
not your
Oh,
typical
really?
Big Cat, but
It's so weird. It's so weird covering recruiting now because a lot of guys just don't commit this time of year. I mean, why would you? Why wouldn't you take your official visits and see what everybody's offering? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And
So
I mean, you're getting you're getting money now just to take the official visits.
I know. Unofficial visits too.
Sure, absolutely.
So,
But yeah, there was with the recruiting calendar, I tell you what really hurt Auburn in Big Cat, and I don't know if you can consider this hurting, but playing the Final Four game that afternoon,
Yeah.
it was the kids showed up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and they were gone by 2.
yeah. Yeah, it's still Auburn. And Florida's got a little bit of similarity too. You got to get them on campus, right? Kids don't seem to know as much about those two programs until they get there. Then they generally seem to love it. And so I think Auburn will be fine. I mean, the real nut cutting season, I guess, is going to be May, June. You know, and it's going to be wild. But But
We'll
anyway,
okay.
All
right. Come back.
Yeah.
I was going to say we'll see where things stand before the season starts. I think a lot.
Yeah, Auburn fans, congratulations, great year. And I read a lot of the message board posts and very polite, just, hey, look, man, I mean, just one of those games. So wish Auburn well moving forward. So thanks for having me, guys.
Appreciate you, Keith.
Cole, I look forward to your Florida-Houston breakdown.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, we'll take it easy. Y'all take care. Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you, Keith.
See you guys.
Felt
Keith
like old
Neighbor.
times, right? He
Hell
called me J-Head, and then we stepped over each other in the conversation.
Yeah.
Yep, just like old times.
And then you both, good times, good stuff. Appreciate you joining us, Keith.
I believe we got Don here.
That one guy that drives the FedEx
Yeah.
Sounds like
truck,
it. Don live.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack Lee. Hey, this is Don. Morning, everybody.
Hey guys, I'm sorry, guys. I'm working tonight. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're all right,
good.
Don. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. How's everybody doing? First of all,
Fantastic, Don. Thanks for asking.
Can't complain.
hey. But before I talk a little football and basketball, Jay Lee, I know that a lot of the kids are waiting until next week to do that. You want to reschedule what we're going to try to do next week? Because I know y'all are going to be too busy.
You know what? We should just make it informal, like, hey, I'm going to be down here at whatever o'clock. If you can come by, come by. If not, we'll catch up later.
Yeah, buddy. When I posted the thing on the corner the other day, I got one response. I don't think any of the fans are really coming. You're not going to have that many people down there. If you don't,
It's just not the same.
I'd like to try to reschedule.
Yeah, let's do that, Don. I think that's the best. It's just not the same. They're going to have an hour practice where it's open and some autographs. There's just not much to it. It's just not what it used. There's not going to be people down there tailgating for this crap.
Yeah, all of us, we'll get together and talk about it. Maybe we can do it sometime this summer, and we can have it wherever down in Auburn or up here in Birmingham.
I'd still like to get up there, man.
Birmingham.
I'd still like to get up there, maybe go hit the Sipsy Fork.
Oh yeah, I'll get up there again,
Yeah.
Don, for sure.
Yeah, we need to get you up there with Jocks at Social Taco there, Jay Lee.
I'm all for it, man. We'll schedule it around that.
Okay. Well, anyway, guys, on the scrimmage and and Cole, this is basically for you. I'm sure y'all have interviewed JD McHale on the On3 network, correct?
Oh yeah. Actually, if you're watching his shows,
I don't know if you saw his segment this morning, but he said that he thinks that that Deuce Knight should play in every game. What is all three of y'all's opinion on that?
Who said that?
JD.
Okay.
McHale.
I disagree. I love JD. In fact, I think he has a great source. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, he does.
But he did not use his source on that take though, because I disagree. But
I hear you, buddy. I hear you. But I tell you what, guys, on just about every interview y'all do, the recruit mentions Deuce. I will say that for them.
They do. They do. I mean, I really think that there's an emphasis like, hey, guys, when y'all get out here, check out 9. Check out 9. Or they just see him. It's possible there's only 2 quarterbacks rotating. So
yeah,
they're going to see him a lot more.
Okay. Well, one last question, because I know y'all got several callers. I'm sure Anthony's right behind me. Hello, Anthony. Hope you're doing well. And Kevin, you're fantastic, buddy. I love you. I wish we got to find a way for me to meet Kevin and Wanda, Jay Lee. I wish you could help set that up for me. That guy's great, man. We love Kevin. But anyway, on Xavier Tiller, were y'all shocked that he didn't commit this week?
No.
Shock? No.
I was not. In fact, when the RPM started flying, or one of them went in, I made a post that said, "This is why I'm not ready for an RPM for Tiller." And I think we've all kind of been on that and said, "Look, there's some dominoes to play out here before something happens with Tiller."
Right. Now, Cole, do they want the 2 guys that were there Friday? Are they better tight ends? Are they higher on the board? The 2 that were there Friday, Prothero and the other guy.
You know, I don't know for sure, but I feel like they might be. I feel like Caden Prothero might be the top guy at tight end. And then J.C. Anderson's up there. Evan Jacobson. That's the one to me that's way up there. And
yeah, very talented.
I think Fogel's in there. Yeah. I think Auburn's in pretty good shape for Evan Jacobson and possibly Caden Prothero.
What about the kid from Colorado? What's his name? It's
Yeah, Gotch.
Yeah.
He committed to BYU.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, fellas, thank y'all very much. I always enjoy the show, and thank y'all for always letting me call in. And y'all just do an amazing job, fellas. But Jay Lee, we'll do something this summer. But the Jocks boys said to tell you hello. I'll be with them Tuesday. So, matter of fact, Landrum went out to the Final Four and get it for Westwood 1 and Jocks. Real quickly before I go, and I don't know if y'all saw this or not, but there's a Buffalo Wild Wings in Hoover on 150. After the game was over, they had a major brawl. There were several Florida fans in there, and this is funny, guys. An Auburn lady fan punched one of the Florida Gators fans to get the brawl started. Like 6 people got arrested. It was a major brawl at the Buffalo Wild Wings on 150 in Hoover.
Man, that sounds like a Saturday night at the front porch.
I tell you what, when you're drinking alcohol, the emotion gets the best of you sometimes with on a game like that, doesn't it?
I suspect you're right, Don. I suspect you're right.
All right, guys. Well, thank y'all so much, fellas, and I will talk to y'all next week.
See you later, big dog. Love you so much, Don. I pulled it up and I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to get to use it." No. I love playing you off, Don. Thank you for calling in so that I may have that opportunity. And we will absolutely. I promise you, we are going to meet face to face before the fall.
Yes.
Before the end of the summer.
Yes.
We will have our get together.
I believe we got Cameron Miller here. Cameron, you're live.
What's going on, Zach?
What's up, man?
Shit, chilling, bro.
All All right, Cameron, you've been trying to
Am I
get
on
in
the
here
line?
now. You've
Am I
been trying
on-
to get in here.
on
Let's
the
hear it.
line?
Yeah, you're on the line, big dog.
You're live.
Hey, shit. Jay Lee, what's going on, brother?
What's happening?
Shit, you said I had a smoking hot wife not too long ago.
Oh, for real?
Back there at the cow game, I met you outside. Yeah, I met you outside. Like, shit, he had a smoking hot wife. I got brownie points on that one.
Oh, really? I didn't say that.
I had to let her hear it.
No, baby, I didn't say that.
Yeah, Cameron, help my boy out here, okay?
I'm gonna be a customer, man. Hold on. Let me turn this shit on. All right. What I got to say, man, I'm humble and happy for Auburn. I'm an Auburn man, and yesterday it hurt me so bad. It hurt me down in my plum. It hurt me bad, but the shit I seen out of the football team, man, it's looking good. It's looking like we got some shit going. Y'all hear me?
Yeah, are you talking about the football team? And I will say this, man.
Yeah.
A lot of the football stuff has gotten pushed to the back, understandably so. All right, we're talking about a historic run here for Auburn basketball. Understand that.
Right.
Now you're starting to flip the page a little bit, Cameron, and like we can start talking about some of the things a little bit more interesting in football. And Saturday
About
there was
Auburn. Now, Auburn's moving forward. The baseball team took 2 out of 1. Basketball team went to the Final Four. The football team, everybody on that, I think the offense is going to outdo the defense this year. It's going to look totally different. It's going to flip the script how good they look.
Well, there were two things. We talked to a lot of people Saturday after the scrimmage. There were two things that seemed like the common denominator was, believe it or not, I was shocked to hear this, but Auburn's defensive front was pretty impressive Saturday. And then the passing game was fantastic. I think Sam Turner caught a touchdown. Eric Singleton caught a touchdown. So the passing game, there's a lot of optimism. Jackson Arnold, we hear a lot about Deuce Knight, and one guy even saw both of them, and he goes, you expect Jackson Arnold to start, but if it ever came down to it, and Deuce, you wouldn't be worried like this. The Deuce Knight.
Yeah. I think that's what I've taken most from this talk about Deuce is that if he has to play,
yeah,
because I think Jackson Arnold will start, but if he has to play, you're okay.
He's really not ready. We need Jackson Arnold to be 9-win Jackson Arnold, 10-win Jackson Arnold.
And I was talking.
Everybody says 6 or 7. I'm not settling for that. I'm tired of wasting money going to Auburn. That's a lot for me and my family to go down there and watch a 6-7 win team. I'm gonna be honest with you.
That's the part about this that's so difficult, Cameron. Man, is you go out there, you go to a game, you see Auburn lose at home, and you go, man, this is too big of an operation to be losing like this. There's too much invested here.
He's got the talent right now. That's what I'm saying. He's got the offense. So I ain't gonna look that big in a while. And the receivers, we got the best receiver core in the SEC, in my opinion.
Sure.
What are you doing? Jeremiah Cobb looks like he's gonna get 6. Maybe Austin gets 6. Come on now. What are we doing? This is Auburn. We're the underdog. Yesterday, if we went out in the first half, we was underdog. Second half, I don't know what the hell happened.
I will say this: I think we talked about the over and under for Auburn football with 7.5 wins this year. I think it's about where it stands right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I promise you this: the coaches do not think that Auburn is going to win less than 8 games. And believe it or not, it's 9 or 10. They think they have the talent and the chemistry. And it's only going to get better when the rest of the guys get there in the summer. But there are coaches there that think they're a 9 or 10 win team.
Hugh's the man. I'm going to say this right now. Hugh's the man. I got a lot of family members, everything, like to talk about him and his past and all that. Man, he's the guy to do it. He's the guy to take us there. Now, if he goes and wins it, I don't think he can win that championship, but just play for it, man. Come on. This is Auburn.
Well, Cameron, folks make mistakes, man, and you got to keep moving, right? I mean, that's kind of
right.
The calling out his past thing. I'm kind of over that. I'll just be real with you.
Yeah, that's not. He's a different man. He's got grandchildren. He's a different man. But this is Auburn. We got the recruit. We got the money. We got the talent. We got Bama, I mean, I think honestly, I'm thinking Bama and Georgia is Auburn win. You do that, I don't care if you win 8 games. You moving up in the world. Next 2026 is going to be hell.
The thing with Auburn is that you want to believe they're 8-9, but it's like, man, and I think Alan and I both, I'm probably Cole, I think we all are maybe, but we just want to see it.
Yep.
We can read the paper and hear the voices, but I want to see it.
We all agree that
Drop 40 on somebody. When they hold them to 17, drop 40. That's what I want to see.
Well, and I'll say this, Cameron. I think from this seat, when you're speaking to people in the audience, right, and you're speaking to fans, you want to be very realistic with what you're saying and grounded. And so to go out and say, hey, yeah, we think there's going to be 10 wins when you haven't even seen them accrue 7 just yet, it's irresponsible, right?
Yes.
Right.
And
that's why I'm like, hey.
The D-line is what scares me. J. Lee and J. Ed or A. Ed or the D-line. That's the only thing. I think we got talent all around the board. Coaching, Jackson Arnold, I think he picked it up quick. I think we're going to the spread, which is he seems to have run. He's a Gatorade player of the year for a reason. So.
Cameron, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because there were some watchers of the scrimmage. I talked to 1 or 2 of them. Talked to 2 different people separate that said the defensive line won the day.
Yeah. Which was surprising to me
in the run game
talent,
and
with young guys. That's good to hear.
And Cole's boy Jordan Crawford keeps being brought up.
Yes, he is.
He's
Jordan Crawford.
Jordan Crawford, freshman.
Jordan Crawford. Yeah, I live in Bessemer right now. He's right down the road. What's the guy that went to Oregon? What was his name again?
Alford.
Yeah, I worked with somebody who was with his grandma. He was going to Auburn, so it was a done deal. They was up here every weekend, and the money come in at the last minute. But Crawford, and the other one next to him, what's his name? Damn, Bodney Cleveland. Yeah, we're trying to get Bodney next.
Yep, he was there for Big Cat.
Make that connection. They got to play together side by side. Could you imagine?
I keep thinking about Vodney being at Prattville, but I forgot he transferred last
Me too.
fall.
He's at Parker. Yeah, he was.
And they trained together.
Yeah, with Coach L, right?
Mm-hmm.
Coach L.
Okay.
Fantastic trainer.
For sure.
But yeah, that's what I don't think I was listening in on Cole's conversations, but it was defensive lineman was running. They were impressed. They were impressed.
From a guy who would know, just trust me on this. A guy who would know. I won't reveal who it was, but trust me. He says defensive line stopped the run and pass rush was there. So complete defensive line won the day.
And you know what? And I was like, well, that's kind of concerning for the offensive line. But I've heard good stuff about the offensive line, and that's without Xavier Chaplin out there.
I agree. I'll tell you today, I heard that Mason Murphy has played.
That's the one that I've heard about.
Right, has played well. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks he's going to be all SEC, but he's going to be competent, above average SEC level play at that right tackle position. Obviously, you don't know what X is going to do because he hasn't been healthy and he hasn't been out there. But that was refreshing because when I watched his USC tape, I didn't know what you were going to get. It was kind of a mixed bag. He played in a lot of different spots. Was he better interior? Was he better? Could he play right tackle in the SEC? But to this point, it sounds like he's held his own for sure. And I was impressed with what I heard there.
I was the same way, Alan. I asked. We talked to Mason Miller the other day. We got to talk to him, get an interview with him. I asked him, man, you're coming from an offense with Lincoln Riley, dude. You were playing in that offense. You're starting in that offense. That's as prolific as it gets.
Right.
What is it like now? I mean, how do you compare the two? He said, well, I feel like I'm not going to have as many false starts or something like that. He's like, I think I got it. He said, I'm feeling better about this one. So I thought,
looking back over, Cameron, were you done? I'm sorry.
No, I'm fine, bro. Go ahead, Dilly.
Well, I was going to say, some of the things, it's always fun to first of all, it's a temporary expectations when you're talking about true freshmen because they've only been out there for about 4 days.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to listen to, guys who are out there every day watching these kids and saying, hey, man, this guy is who we thought he was, or, this guy's going to need a little bit more time than we thought. But we've talked about Deuce Knight. He is absolutely the real deal from everything that we've heard. And I don't remember, was it Cameron talking about JD, or was that Don?
No, Don.
I'm with you. And let me say something about Deuce Knight, because that lined up with Don's question. His question was JD thought Deuce should find a way to play every week, package for him or something.
Yeah.
And what's fun, Cole, I don't know if you were with me last weekend, but after the scrimmage last weekend, no, you were not. I think it was me and Caleb. And but the guy comes up and we're talking, and he said, if Hugh's smart, he wouldn't play him.
Well,
because you're going to have a controversy if you do.
If he listened to this panel, he wouldn't.
Because if you put him in there, the first time Jackson Arnold messes up, everybody's going to be calling for Deuce Knight.
Agreed.
Well, I mean,
and that might happen anyways.
The way that we are today, don't get me started. I mean, the way that the world is today, Jackson Arnold will misfire on the first drive, and they'll be calling for Deuce that fast. I'm calling it right here. I hope you hear me, corner. I see you in my game threads.
Just running through that 2025 class, Cole, and you throw some in. Alan, you do as well. I've heard rave reviews about Deuce. I've heard rave reviews about Fagans, Anquan Fagans.
Yeah.
Blake Woodby's the guy I hear.
Blake Woodby.
So much about. And Diaz. Both of them.
Jordan Crawford, Blake Woodby, Elijah Melendez.
Yes, Melendez for sure. Blake Diaz, Bryce Diaz, excuse me.
Sam Turner.
Turner for sure. That's one I have absolutely heard.
Guys, I have full confidence in saying this. Sam Turner's going to play.
Yeah.
He's not just going to be Buzz. I think he's going to play.
I think he's too deep for sure. And I'm going to go ahead and make bold prediction. I think he's going to play over Perry.
I think you might be on something. I've heard some Seth Williams, and not just because he's wearing 18, but the way that Seth Williams came in as a freshman and made such an impact, even when I think the receiver room that year was nice, at least.
Yeah. You had Darius Slayton on that team, correct?
Yeah, I think so.
Seth was the inside slot guy for them.
Yeah.
And then Schwartz was also there.
Schwartz and
Ryan Davis, right?
2018. It was 2018.
Because Ryan Davis and Slayton were the two receivers that were mostly featured, because that was who was the transfer quarterback from Baylor?
Stidham.
Yeah, it was Stidham's last year, because remember they lit up Purdue in that bowl game, and Seth was the third leading receiver on that team.
Oh, let's see. They had Schwartz, Shedrick Jackson.
Yeah.
Eli Stove.
Eli, yeah.
Will Hastings.
Yeah.
Ryan Davis.
I forgot about Will Hastings.
Yeah, Will was out there. Darius Slayton. Matthew Hill was on that. I don't think. Marquise McLean.
Yeah, Marquise and Matthew Hill both transferred out after that year.
Check this out. You know who a tight end was on that roster 2018? Luke Deal.
And that I don't know.
Golly, are you serious?
Yeah. Team Dad Luke Deal for sure.
Who was talking? Oh, we were talking to Brendan Frazier the other day, and they're like, "What's it like with Luke not being out there?" And he's like, "Man, that dude ain't never leaving. He's still out there."
Yeah. Cam Stutz, by the way, is an assistant with the offensive line now.
Grad assistant now, right?
Yeah, he's. I think he kind of takes the place of Peyton Cox, who went on to take an offensive line coaching job, and saw Cam Stutz with Dalton Toothman all weekend. That was I think they had a big bond there. So he's going to be, I think he'll be a nice little recruiter for Auburn, Cam Stutz.
We saw a bunch of former players at the scrimmage on Saturday. Brett Edens was in there. Big dog Brett.
You heard Jason say this, but I was with Jason when we saw him, was Mike McNeil.
God, missed him. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
Mike McNeil, man. Jason said he was doing great. Was in there with his son. Was in there watching scrimmage, just doing really, really well. Loved Mike McNeil. I loved his family. So I was so proud to hear that. He's such a good guy. He got caught up in the wrong wrong
Yeah.
crowd,
Yeah.
wrong night, wrong instances, and then he had to pay for it, and he did. But was glad to see that or hear that Mike McNeil's doing really well. Jonathan Palmer was in there.
Yeah. Did you say Brett Edens?
Brett Edens.
Craig Sanders.
Craig Sanders was in there.
I saw Gabe Wright too, but that was a couple days ago.
A lot of former players coming back.
That's good to see. It's
And,
always
you know,
good to see when those former lettermen come in.
I think they're all buddies too with Mike Blanc, who is now working in the team chaplain role.
That's right. I
You
haven't
know-
seen Blanc yet.
And that's a transition. That's a huge piece, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. But obviously, rest in peace, Chet Williams, no
Yeah.
longer there, which is highly unfortunate. But you had a lot of guys from his era, from the Dye era, that would come in to see him. It will be
Yeah.
interesting to see if that new wave of people that come in that are friends with Mike Blanc will kind of start to more frequent the facility to be in contact with him. And that's another conduit to a different age, a different era. That I think is valuable. I think as you continue to cycle through players, it's good to get all different eras to come back and be able to share their story and their experience as an Auburn Tiger. Back to the freshman, one other player that I've heard that's that he's run the ball well, but that he's going to have to work on pass protection or pass pro is going to be Alvin Henderson. I've heard good things from him as far as his vision is concerned, his physicality, but I think he's got ways to go. Obviously in pass pro, but that's something for every running back, right? And especially, I mean, Alvin played in the wing tee in high school, so you don't get a lot of pass protection in the wing tee at the 1A level.
No, that's going to be completely new for him. But he's, Darrell Robinson's not practicing right now,
Right.
So he's got a chance. There's opportunity there. I was going to say, like you said, Jeffrey, it's only been a few practices, so you have to take what you're hearing with a grain of salt. But I mean, listen, we put out some articles before spring practice ever got kicked off. They were getting some buzz on these freshmen, and then what's good is when you hear the buzz early, and then they get into practice, and you're still hearing it.
Yes.
That means, hey, what we thought is coming to fruition. Whether they know what to do yet or not, that's not really the case. How about I think it was Adam Balagoon Ali. Goon, by the way, he goes by Goon.
Yep.
Or at least that's his nickname. He said, I like number 18. We're like, okay, Caleb Harris. No, Caleb Harris changed number 8. That'd be JJ Falk.
That's right. He sure
Okay.
did. Sure
And
did.
That's the first time I've heard JJ's name, so that's good to hear. And he is playing linebacker, so that's good. It's interesting.
There are probably half the class will play as much as those guys did last year. You remember how many freshmen? I mean, maybe in the 2 deep that were getting significant snaps.
Oh yeah, I mean, because you had Cam, you had obviously your star safety out of Thompson. Malcolm Simmons played that was in the 2 deep last year.
Jay Crawford.
We can starter.
Malik Blockton.
Demarcus
Riddick.
And if you turn back around and have it, because I think we just talked about at least so Sam Turner we think is going to be 2 deep, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We think Jordan's going to be 2 deep.
Yep.
Deuce absolutely could be 2 deep. It'll be interesting. That's going to be an interesting to watch when it come fall. That's going to be a legitimate race. Like I think I've heard enough about Jackson at this point to think he is probably going to be the first one out there. And unless it is a situation where you have like a DJ Lagway type situation, if things are not going well in the first couple of games, I think that's when you see Deuce, because at that point you've got to make the pivot. You have to build some level of momentum or something to build on moving forward. And I think that would be the kind of situation that would get him on the field, but has a chance to be in the 2 deep for sure.
And there was a shout out to Jackson Arnold by a recruit, by the way. It was Cedarian Morgan.
Yeah.
That was the first thing out of his mouth when we asked if anyone stood out or the offense, whatever. He said, Jackson Arnold's faster than I thought.
He sure did.
Good athlete. The thing with him is, can they – and Cole, I think you were the first one to call this out that talked about it, but the ball got stuck in Jackson's hand a lot last year. where he seemed to, for whatever the reason, I don't know if it was the offense, if it was the receivers, if he just didn't have the confidence for the anticipatory part of the game of just having the confidence to let it rip, seeing it, IDing it, let it go. It seemed like he was trying to make the perfect throw every other time. And I think that's a lot of young kids struggle with that, but especially when everything around them is kind of breaking down. So
Yeah, sure.
can they get it where the ball doesn't get stuck in his hand and he's able just to let it fly, let it be natural, like he was back when he was in high school and that 5-star plus guy.
You have to remember too. I mean, he got benched earlier in the season. He was turning the ball over a little bit then.
Yeah.
Once he gets another chance, he's going, well, I can't do that again.
Yeah.
What do I do? And I got receivers that can't get open because they're all hurt. My offensive line pass protection is horrible.
Right.
And we just got a new OC. So I would argue that of the three quarterbacks, Deuce Knight, Jackson Arnold, Ashton Daniels, Jackson's the one you know the least about.
I think that's a fair argument.
I think you know what Deuce brings to the table at this point, and you know where he's at mentally with the offense. I don't think you're guessing too much on that. You know where Ashton's at. You've seen more film of him than anybody else.
At this level, yeah.
They had an okay. I mean, their offensive structure was better than what Oklahoma put on the field last year at Stanford.
Significantly.
Right. So you're going, all right, well, even if you show us that you're a little faster than we think and you got this good arm, we're not going to know everything about you till we get you on the field. We're just not.
No, I mean, it's true, because how much confidence can you restore with him? That's the ticket to me, is how can you build this kid up to the point that he's not just constantly thinking out there, that he's read, react, just be in the flow of the offense, understand the decision and make it quickly. And I think efficient quarterback play, even if it's, you're hitting your check down every other time out there, if that's the read, just get to it quickly. And I think that's what you want to see with Jackson Arnold, because the sooner he gets comfortable in this offense, the more successful they're going to be, because they've got every perimeter option you could ask for. You've got an above average offensive line, and Hugh Freeze, when he's in his bag, is a phenomenal play caller. I mean, he didn't forget how to score points. You saw what he was able to do at Liberty. You saw what he was able to do at Ole Miss. You saw what he was able to do at Arkansas State. Okay, at every level, he's been able to score points. Now, can he rebuild another quarterback's confidence and get him to the point where he's making natural decisions within the flow of the offense that are not putting you behind the chains? Because, again, that was the biggest thing, right? Decisions in the run game that got you behind the chains, decisions in the passing game that got you behind the chains. If this team can stay in front of the chains, they have an opportunity to be a top 5 offense in the SEC. But there's a big but there, right?
Yeah.
We just got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, and to the point that I guess it was Don or maybe Cameron who was saying, I'm not taking this 7 wins. It was Cameron. I'm not taking this 7 wins. I'm just not going to take it. I hear you. I totally hear you, Cameron, and I'm with you. It needs to be better than that. I mean, I would argue that the roster last year was good enough to win 8 games. I would argue that the roster this year is good enough to win 9 or 10. That's not the issue anymore. I think that's kind of where we're at now. But I am not about putting unfair pressure, because I think there's still, another side of this coin where you go, I see what you're doing with freshmen, and you're doing it with this class coming in.
Right.
That's going to turn into something. We got to see this through a little bit.
And I don't disagree with you. We talked about development at the front end with Todd Pettiford. You're talking about development now. It's a pivotal part of any game at the college level. In any sport, development has to be there. And I think basketball for Hugh is kind of a little bit of a double-edged sword, because people, for the first time in a long time, saw a team go out there and live up to expectation, right?
Yes.
And now they're hungry to see that happen on the football field. And so maybe that is creating some undue expectation, because you just had a team and a coach that were able to go out and execute in a way that fulfilled most Auburn fans, wildest dreams, right? To be able to play in a Final Four, the only thing do it better than that is obviously winning a national championship. But to do that twice in 6 years, I mean, hell, Jeffrey, you know what it was like when you were in college at Auburn. I mean, the basketball team was just up and down. Again, you had some high moments with Cliff, but they were, a year or two, and then it was done, and you were back in the toilet again.
Yeah.
This is consistency at a level that Auburn has not had in basketball. And I think what the fan base wants to see is consistency at that level in football in a way that they haven't seen in the better part of at least 6 seasons. I mean, going back to 2019.
Well, we're getting closer and closer. I'm curious to see what happens next Saturday. Auburn will hold its A-Day practice. It's open A-Day practice. There's going to be some festivities, I think, an alum flag football game, an autograph session, but nothing more than an open practice for next Saturday. There will be several recruits that may be rescheduled for next weekend that were supposed to be here this weekend. We're expecting Landon Duckworth, a couple of defensive linemen in, and that list is only going to grow throughout the week. We're going to be back Tuesday night. We're going to talk a lot more about Big Cat, the recruits that were there. There were several, 24 at least, or around 24 big-time recruits from the 2026, 2027 classes. We'll look back on that and give a good rundown on that, so look for that Tuesday night. Don't forget, if you're in Auburn, Opelika, Lee County, looking for some real estate help, look no further for it right here. Miss Jessica Andrus with the Talents Group. Give her a call, 334-704-4442, and tell her we sent you. All right, folks, that's going to do it tonight. Appreciate everybody calling in. Kevin, Keith, appreciate Keith joining us, man. Really appreciate that. Enjoyed that. Don, and Cameron Miller. We're going to be back next Sunday as well for the call-in show. Y'all be ready for that. All right, for Cole Pinkston, for Alan Head, for Zach in the back who came to the front and moved back to the back, I'm Jeffrey Lee, man. Y'all stay that left lane. See ya.